Hello, I'm Jim Capsa. I've hosted the Pro Sport Report cable television show for 36 years. But on today's show, we're not doing an ordinary episode of the Pro Sport Report. We're going to do a special tribute to a true legend in sports. I've been a friend of Gene Pingatore for over 60 years. Anybody that's associated in any way with high school basketball in the state of Illinois recognizes the name Gene Pingatore. He is a living legend. Gene passed away on June 26th, and I'm just one of thousands of people who came to his wake and his funeral to pay honor and respect to a great man. And on today's program, instead of going over the history of Gene Pingatore's growing up and playing sports in his younger days, we're just going to do segments from some of the happiest times in Gene Pingatore's life. We're doing this at St. Joseph High School in Westchester, Illinois. And Gene was the head coach here for 50 years. And as I said, he's the winningest boys high school basketball coach in the history of the game. We know that's true for the state of Illinois. It may even be true for the United States, but we're not going to go into checking records. This is a tribute show. And for those of you who didn't read the Chicago Tribune of Friday, June 28th, the Tribune was nice enough to make Gene Pingatore the front page story on the sports section of the Tribune. As you can see, he was a father figure, not just to a dozen or two boys, but for 50 years to thousands of boys basketball players. Then we have the Sun-Times Sports Saturday section from June 29th. A two-page spread. And you don't see this done for professional athletes who make millions of dollars a year. Here is a man who was so honored and respected that the Tribune and the Sun-Times in Chicago honored him with stories like this. And today, we're going to take you back to some of the greatest events in the history of St. Joseph High School in Westchester, and also, of course, in the life of Gene Pingatore. A few years back, St. Joseph High School in Westchester, Illinois, the officials were so proficient in organizing an event to celebrate Gene Pingatore's record at St. Joseph High School and his life that they invited over 100 of his former basketball players to come and honor him after a basketball game that St. Joseph won and created the record for Gene Pingatore. I think at that time it was a record of like 860 wins. Well, he went on to total 1,035 wins against only 383 losses in his career. That's a winning percentage of about 72%. And try and find that in any sport. So anyway, we're going to get right into our program. The first interview you're going to see is with a man by the name of Isiah Thomas. Any of you that know anything about basketball know that Isiah Thomas was one of Gene Pingatore's stars at St. Joe on the Charger basketball team. And he is one of the top 50 players in the history of the National Basketball Association. And just this opening interview alone is going to show you what Isiah and the rest of Gene's athletes thought about Gene Pingatore. I'm going to miss him greatly because I've known him for over 60 years. But let's smile. Let's not be sad because Gene's looking down on us now. And I want to make sure we have a good tribute to him. He's going to enjoy this. I'll bet he's smiling up in heaven right now. Here we go with Gene Pingatore and Isiah Thomas after Gene Pingatore's St. Joseph Chargers actually broke the record for winning coaches in the state of Illinois.
Here we are in the St. Joseph Gymnasium right after another big victory, number 830 for Gene Pingatore, the winningest coach in boys basketball history in the state of Illinois. Coach Pingatore, what do you have to say at a moment like this?
It means I've been around a long time.
And here's one of his most famous players, Isiah Thomas, one of the 50 top basketball players in the history of the NBA. Isiah, what do you have to say to Coach?
I had great coaching, and thank you for letting me come to St. Joe's, and thank you for making me. Thanks for being a father, mother, sister, brother, everything that I needed when I was growing up. And thank you for being the man that you are. Thanks.
Thank you, because I love you.
Love you too.
I think you're bringing a tear to Coach's eye here.
Well, you can see he's had a lot of influence on a lot of us, and we're just glad that we were able to be here tonight to support him, because he's touched a lot of generations, a lot of families, fathers, sons. I mean, you saw it all here tonight, and he's dedicated his whole life to making men, and we hope that we've made you proud.
That I am. That's what it's all about. The wins don't mean a thing. It's all about what the kids do when they leave us, and all the people who contributed, the Doyles and the Hornaceks, O'Briens and Ryans, all the coaches. I can't even name them all. They did such a wonderful job here with these guys, and that's what it's all about.
Well, Coach, this is one of the most grand moments in the history of St. Joseph High School, in the history of Illinois boys basketball. And Isiah coming here along with over 100 of your former basketball players, just amazing.
You can't imagine.
I want to thank you for all the fans, for all the nice things that you've done for St. Joseph High School and Illinois boys basketball. And you were a big part of creating Isiah Thomas, as well as these other 100 basketball players.
We love him. We love him.
I look at it the other way. They were responsible for everything that I've accomplished. We couldn't have done it without them. Great players and great coaches and a lot of people, a lot of support. My family is just outstanding. They've been here from day one. That's 49 years. So that's what it's all about.
How's that for a humble hero? And we want to thank you one more time. Isiah, thank you for being here for Coach. Thank you, Gene Pingatore. It's an honor to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're in the cafeteria now after the big win, 830 for Gene Pingatore, St. Joseph High School. Derek Molis is number one. What year were you, Derek?
1992.
1992?
Yes, sir.
You love the coach, right?
Love him to death. He taught me whole lot of things that I still carry on with my life, even to this day. Every day, taught me a lot.
The same thing comes from all the lips of these over 100 basketball players that came to honor Coach Pingatore. Here's George Johnson. What do you have to say, George?
Well, it was a great night for the coach, and we're all happy to be here to honor all his great victories.
What year were you again?
1978.
1978.
Don't say that too loud.
And that wasn't that Isiah's year, or was he 79?
79, but he was honored. He was a junior when we went downstate my senior year.
Very good. Well, we get the same comments from all of the basketball players, and I think Coach Pingatore was really surprised here tonight. He's still out on the court saying hello to everybody and getting well-wishers, handshakes, and so forth. And we're going to talk more with Coach Pingatore, and hopefully Derek and George will get to talk to him personally as soon as he comes in. Now we're talking with the president of St. Joseph High School, Dave McCreary. Dave, I have to give you my compliments on your speech out there right after the 830th victory of Gene Pingatore's career at St. Joseph.
Well, it was a great night, and it was all about trying to recognize Gene in the way he deserves, because he's an amazing human being and cares so much about all of his former players as well as St. Joseph. He is the face of St. Joseph, so we couldn't do enough for him, so it's great that tonight turned out so well.
He had a tear in his eye, didn't he?
Gene had a tear in his eye after we announced the third player, and we had like 100 come out.
That's right. I don't think anybody expected that many players from former teams at St. Joseph High School. And Gene has been a coach here for, 49 years, 41 as a head coach?
Exactly. Since the school opened, so he's been the only head coach, second head coach after he took over. But I mean, he has been here his entire life, and he has truly made this place special.
Isn't that amazing? You know, I've known Gene Pingatore since like 1961 or 62, and at that time, little did anybody know he was going to go into coaching, because he was actually at Loyola Marymount College, and he was studying biology, was he not?
He was, and he was going to go to law school. And when I got here 9 years ago, my daughter had just entered Loyola Marymount, and it's in Westchester, California. And I thought, there's way too many, coincidences.
Well, I want to thank you very much, and St. Joseph High School very much, and I'm sure Coach Pingatore thanks you from the bottom of his heart. This is a tremendous event. You couldn't have done it better.
Well, you can't find very many people in this world that care as much as he does about making a positive influence on young men's lives. And he has done it his whole career, and he is still going strong, and we love him, and we are thrilled that he is a part of St. Joseph.
Thank you very much. Dave McCurry, president of St. Joseph High School. We're having a great time. Now we're talking with another shorty guy, Daryl Thomas, class of '83 at St. Joseph High School in Westchester, and class of '87 at University of Indiana, the national champions, and you made that pass to Keith Smart to win it, right?
Yeah, I did, and I get reminded constantly.
Tell us all about your experience at St. Joseph with Gene Pingatore.
It was a blessing coming here. The way he taught the game, how he approached the game, the life lessons he tries to instill in all of his players and coming here, and just the tradition. If you can see tonight, all the guys that came out to pay their respects to Coach and all he's done for everyone, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
You know, I've gotten that comment from so many people here tonight, and it's like Gene Pingatore was a second father to them, or in some cases a brother, a big brother. Did you have any feelings like that, like he was family?
Oh my God, that's why I'm back now coaching. You have to always go home. That's what I say. I don't care where you go. Somehow, some way, you end up back at home, and home for me is St. Joe's, and Ping is more than a father figure. He's a role model. He's someone I aspire to be like in one day, and hopefully, while I'm coaching, I can emulate some of the success he's had. But like I said, there's no greater place to be in basketball, and there's no greater coach to coach with and play for.
Okay, tell us what you're doing now. You're coaching now, right?
Coaching now here at St. Joe's. Just trying to steal a lot of the knowledge he's losing, and enjoying it. I'm just really loving it, and hopefully I can continue on later in collegiate levels. And
That's fantastic.
yes.
So he's still teaching you that, right?
Oh my God! If you don't learn something from him every day, something's wrong with you.
And of course, your greatest moment in college basketball was that national championship. Can you remember a little bit about that game? Tell the folks out there.
Yeah, it was similar to tonight's game. We didn't really have a lead till the end. It was a special moment. It was a team in which that was very tough. They had a lot of NBA players on it: Derek Coleman, Ronnie Cycli, Sherwin Douglas.
Mention some of your guys.
I played with Steve Alford, Keith Smart, who hit the shot, Dean Garrett, who played in the NBA, Rick Calloway. Wonderful set of guys. It was just a very special memory, a lot like what is going on now.
Well, I think it's great that Daryl Thomas and Isiah Thomas and George Johnson and Derek Molis and 100 other guys came to honor Coach Pingatore tonight. And we thank you for being here. And thank you for helping at St. Joseph to this day.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right.
Well, we snagged another guest in the cafeteria at St. Joseph High School, and it's Coach Bill Riley, who's been a coach with Gene Pingatore for 25 years, right?
25 years and going.
And
Going strong.
And he's still teaching you every day, right?
That's the truth. He really is. He's been an unbelievable example for me as a young coach growing up and developing, myself as a coach. So yeah, he's been phenomenal. You learn something from it every day.
Now, what are some of your greatest memories down through the years? In 25 years, something must stick in your mind with Coach Pingatore and some of the teams you've had.
You know, I'll tell you, I think that the best experience for me has been watching all the great players come through the program year after year, and not only develop as players but as individuals. To see the number of guys that came back this evening, including Isiah, it's just a phenomenal thing. Ping is St. Joe's to us. He's such a great spirit for our school, and you know, he's got a lot more in him. So we're looking forward to a lot more great basketball and you know, a great future.
You know, I have to tell you, in tonight's game, St. Joseph was down 13-1 at the start of the game, but you and Coach Pingatore didn't really look that worried to me. I know you must have had a few thoughts going through your mind about an upset.
I'll tell you, you know, teams come in here and they play us hard. We're in a great conference. Notre Dame's a great team. They did a great job tonight, and you know, give our kids credit. You know, they kept together, and they did a great job in the second half.
Well, I know Coach Riley has got a lot of great experiences with Coach Pingatore. He's been with Coach for 25 years and still going strong. And I'm sure that somewhere in the back of your mind, you're wondering when the coach is going to retire. But it doesn't look like he's slowing down, right?
You know, every once in a while I tell him, keep going. Because he's a lion. He's young at heart. And we want him to stay around as long as he possibly can. Yeah, I think he's going to be here for a long time. I really do.
Well, that's fantastic. You've got a great family here at St. Joseph. We were just talking to Mr. McCreary a little while ago, the president of St. Joseph, and we get the same kind of comments from everybody that's come to honor Gene Pingatore tonight. Thanks for being with us, Bill Riley.
Thank you.
Well, I seem to find all the tall guys here. We've got Daryl Cunningham, who was a McDonald's All-American and a graduate of DePaul, a great player at DePaul University. Tell us about your experiences with Coach Pingatore, the winningest coach in boys basketball history in Illinois.
Coach Pingatore is an unbelievable coach. He knows how to win the big games. He's done a very good job of developing all of us on and off the court.
And your coach at DePaul was?
My coach at DePaul was Joey Meyer, and actually I transferred to Kansas State and played 3 years at Kansas State and finished out okay there.
And then you coached at Indiana State. Did I get that right?
I coach at Indiana State currently, and we actually have a game tomorrow, and we actually have a reunion tomorrow too, honoring the 1979 team.
Very good. Well, I think it's a great thing that you came here to be one of the over 100 former St. Joe basketball players to honor Coach Pingatore. Would you like to say congratulations to Coach?
Coach, congratulations. You've been great to all of us on and off the court, and we're here to support you today. Congratulations, Coach. An unbelievable milestone.
Thanks very much, Daryl. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, too. Thanks a lot.
Dennis Doyle, who was a coach with Coach Pingatore for 15 years, right? What have you got to say about Coach Pingatore?
Well, first of all, what a great tribute to Gene, having kids come back from every era that he coached. It just tells you all the respect in the world that the kids, who are now, of course, adults, had for him. Just a tremendous guy. That's all there is to it. His success is all about discipline, commitment to the kids, commitment to the program. That's why he's been so successful. He's one of the most disciplined people you ever want to meet, and it shows in his teams.
It showed tonight when they were down 13-1. Yeah. Nobody was afraid that the other team was going to run away with it, right?
No, if you know Gene's teams, 13-1, it wasn't a worry. It wasn't a worry. You knew they were going to come back. You knew they were going to start pressuring the ball because that's his style. And little by little, they took him apart.
Well, we're at St. Joseph High School in Westchester, Illinois today, and we're talking with the state champion coach of the St. Joseph High School basketball team, the winningest coach in the history of Illinois high school basketball, Mr. Gene Pingatore, old friend of mine. Gene, thanks for being on the show with us today.
My pleasure.
And I see that you brought one of your assistant coaches and one of your star players. The man in the red shirt there is Bill Riley, who's been with Coach Pingatore for 30 years, believe it or not. And he looks just like he did when he came in on the coaching staff 30 years ago. And over there is Joffrey Brown, who is a graduating senior and one of the stars of the St. Joseph 3A Championship high school basketball team. Gene, how does it feel to be the state champs one more time?
It's always good to win.
This was your second state championship, and you've been down there several times, right, to the state finals.
Right. We've taken first twice now, second, third, and fourth. So
All right.
we've had a good run.
And you've got a couple of your friends here. I'm going to introduce Bill Riley, who is one of Gene's assistant coaches, and Joffrey Brown, one of the stars of the state championship team that came back with that big trophy. Thanks for being on the show with us today, guys. And first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about this year's state championship team, and then we'll talk to Bill Riley and Joffrey Brown. But I wanted to get a little summary from Coach Pingatore. Compared to some of your better teams, and I know you've had a lot of them in the past, how does this latest state championship team compare?
You can't compare teams. Was this our most talented team? No. In fact, our most talented team didn't win the state championship.
Really?
The best they could do was probably third.
And which one was that?
Class of 87.
87.
That was the most talented team from starters to bench. It was unbelievable. But so, you know, it's all about chemistry and things falling into place, having all the ingredients to win it, but it's got to all come together. And we felt from the beginning that this team could win it all. Of course, during the season, there were bumps in the road, and we overcame that, and we caught fire toward the end of the year, which is a good time to catch fire.
Yeah, right.
And they played as well as anybody at the end of the year.
Yeah. What was your final record again? I should have it in front of me.
29-6.
29-6. Outstanding.
It was also probably one of the toughest schedules we've ever faced, which is, I think, good to help the team get ready for the state tournament.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit with Bill Riley, and then we'll get to talking about some of your stars like Joffrey Brown. First of all, let us mention the big guys on your team. First of all, the biggest guy in height was Nicky Kosovich, who is a junior and is going to come back as a senior this year.
Correct.
You take it from there.
Well, the three seniors that have been mainstays and 3-year starters, really, since their sophomore year, Joffrey Brown, Jordan Ash, and Glenn Watson. Those are the main four, and then we filled in with different people. Levant Thomas he's going to be a junior. A big guy that sometimes shared the starting role, Jarvis Sutton, another senior who at times started and was one of the first guys off the bench. And then Joffrey's brother, who was a freshman, was another one of the mainstays off the bench. So, you know, we ended up putting that group together, and we knew it was there, and it sure happened at the end.
Very good. Bill Riley, you've been with Coach Pingatore how many years now?
30 years.
30 years. Wow. And
That's amazing.
It is kind of amazing, and you must have an outstanding personal rapport as well as a business rapport. What do you like best about working with Coach Pingatore? I get a smile out of you.
Well, I think the thing that I mentioned the last time was you know, the fact that he's consistent. He runs a clean program, a good program. It's not just about basketball; it's about education. You know, it's all the things that are important to, you know, the kids having a great experience while they're here at school. He's demanding. He expects you to do things the right way. You know, both on the court and off the court, both as coaches and players. And, you know, those are all things that I aspire to, so.
And you handle, I see you got one of Coach's basketball school shirts on, right? This is coming up. You help him with the basketball school too, right?
Basketball camps are starting up. The summer league is starting up, so, you know, we're almost into to full swing for preparing for next year.
And Joffrey, let's get you involved in the conversation here. You were one of the mainstays of this state championship team, and have you decided on what college you're going to? I know I was talking with Coach a little bit before the interview, and he said gave me a couple of the guys who are going to certain schools. What about you? Have you got schools in mind?
I'm not really sure yet. I'm actually meeting with Coach after this to talk about some college stuff after. So,
what was the best part about playing on this state championship team?
I would probably say the group of guys, because it's just different. Like, practices were always competitive. So I would say the group of guys we play with.
Yeah. How many hours a week do you think you put in practicing during the season?
I would say like practices were only supposed to be at least 2 hours, but coach always stretched it out to like 3. So
Coach Pingatore likes to stretch them out, huh? Get all the work he can out of it.
One more time. One more time.
everything was one more time. Well, 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned to like 25 minutes.
But I think you appreciate that.
Yeah, it was good in the end because we needed it. So it was extra stuff.
And you enjoyed your 4 years at St. Joseph?
It was a lot better than I thought it was, because freshman orientation, it was bad. So it ended up getting a lot better.
Oh, I didn't know until Coach mentioned it that your brother was on the freshman team, right? This year?
He was a freshman playing varsity.
So he should be gaining some benefit by seeing what you've gone through and gaining the structure and having to work extra hard to get where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, getting back to Gene Pingatore, you know, some of my old friends were on your teams before. I think I don't know if you keep track of the number of players that have graduated from St. Joseph that went on to college ball and into the pros. But I know the one player that stands out in everyone's mind is Isiah Thomas. And I believe he was, what, class of 79 or thereabouts?
79.
Yeah.
Right.
And then George Johnson and a couple other boys from the class of 78. That was a pretty good team too, right?
Well, that was our first time downstate. That was a tremendous thrill. That group was the first in many things. It was the first Proviso West Tournament championship, which would have been the December of 77, the 78 year. And then our first time downstate, and of course we got to the championship game. And then after that, we've created a Frankenstein monster because everyone expected us to go every year. And we had a great run. In the 80s, we got down there in 82, 83, 84, and 86 and 87. And so then, you know, people would say, you know, what's wrong with the team? Well, what do you mean, what's wrong with the team? Well,
you didn't win 20
we won 25 games, but you didn't get downstate, you know, so it really created a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah. Bill, how do you and Coach Pingatore make sure that you've got consistently winning teams? I mean, there's got to be some secret involved here.
I think the most important thing is you want to bring good kids into your program. Good families, good kids. I mean, one of the reasons that this year's team was so successful is because we had great kids on the team. You know, they had their battles, they had their ups and downs, but in the end, because of that, they were all able to come together, and they sacrificed, they did whatever they had to do to make sure that they were successful in the tournament. You know, Joffrey, for instance, Joffrey was the guy that was our leader most of the year, and you know, he made sure that everybody played their roles, including himself. You know, he was the guy that would go out and defend. He would give us scores whenever we needed it. We had all the attributes this year. We had a great point guard. We had a blue-collar guy. We had the guy inside. But even with that, we needed, you know, those guys to come together, and it was because of their character that they were able to do that.
You mentioned something very interesting. The ordinary fan sitting in the stands watching high school basketball, the last thing on their minds, I would guess, is these kids must be arguing with each other at one time or another. High school kids don't always agree on everything. And how do you compensate for these little things that might come up during the season?
Well, I think what Coach Pingatore always talks about is we try to get the kids to buy into what we're trying to do. You know, they have to believe in our program. They have to believe in us. You know, the difference today between working with the kids today and, you know, 15, 20 years ago is you have so many outside sources. You have AAU. You have personal trainers. So they really, truly have to believe what we're doing here is the right thing. They have to believe in our program and you know, the things that we're trying to do for them personally.
Joffrey, how do you feel about that? I'm sure you played AAU ball and got involved in some of these other things. And how about the little interaction between the boys on the team? What do you have to say about that?
I mean, I think AAU is a good thing in certain cases because it like helps with college stuff because you travel all over the world, like the country, and you coaches get to see you play. But I think it's sometimes bad because you have outside people like your AAU coaches trying to control like your college recruitment, and like they hype you up. So if you don't live up to the hype that people in the high school season, when they see you, it's like, wow, this kid was supposed to be this kid was supposed to be that. So when you don't perform to what people hear about you all summer long, it's kind of bad. But like you said, with the high school stuff and arguments and stuff, I think, like you said, high school kids do get in like arguments and stuff. So it was just how we dealt with it.
So you were able to deal with it within the team itself, huh?
Yeah, so we just had to keep
with
it.
a little input from the two coaches who have been there before.
So we just had to listen to them, keep our heads on straight, because we know at the end of the year we wanted to stay championship. So we knew if we was to keep arguing and getting trouble and stuff with each other, we knew that couldn't happen.
Very good point. And Coach Pingatore, I happen to know that you had a little problem here and there with the team, but it never showed on the court. And
sometimes,
well, maybe I missed it, but you have become so professional at teaching boys basketball, not only basketball but life, and how they're supposed to perform as human beings and what their responsibilities are. And I congratulate you for that. What's your secret? You've got to have a secret or two.
There's no secret. That's the secret. There is no secret. It's just a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication on the part of the staff. I think if you look at our program, if I were to zero in on a few things, number one, longevity of assistant coaches. The more we keep in place for a long time, the better the program's going to be. The other thing is what we do. It's no secret what we do as far as offense and defense. We stay with it. Over the years, what we do is tweak it. We still run motion, but this year we ended up trying to go to 4-man motion instead of 5, and things like that. Defensively, we believe that that's still the key to the whole thing. And we spend a lot of time on defense, and we're demanding on defense, and so it's keeping things simple. I'm definitely one of the KISS method coaches. Keep it simple, stupid.
I've been going by the KISS method for years.
Yeah, and I really think that it's important you do that. We weren't very complicated in what we do. If someone wants my scouting report here, this is what we do. Beat us. I mean, it's simple as that.
One of the things I remember from one of our previous conversations is that you said you tell the players that if they're where they're supposed to be on the court and do what you instructed them to do, you're going to win the game.
Well, we don't worry about what the other team does.
Yeah.
We worry about what we do, and that's really important.
Yeah.
If we never had a scouting report and went into a game, we play against what we do. If we execute our offense and defense, we should be right there.
Yeah. And now in practices, I'm assuming that you're working on the same type of thing, but you're working with boys who in practice are on defense, and they know what your defense is supposed to be for the game. Well, that's got to be pretty crucial right there.
Yeah, but that's the key. And we always said that. If practice is harder than the game's going to be easy, and you should be able to execute. So it's a good thing that happens.
Yeah.
The fact that they know what you're going to do and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of crying and moaning because of that, but actually it helps them.
Yeah. You agree with that, Joffrey?
Yeah, I agree.
Did you go through periods of crying and moaning?
It was just the running sometimes was a lot, but it was all worth it.
That's good. And Bill, for your future, I know coach isn't going to go on forever, but I think he might go on for another 10, 12 years. But I'm assuming you want to be a head coach one day, right? Are you
I'm at the point now I don't even think about that stuff anymore.
Don't?
And I've always encouraged him to do it as long as you want to do it. You feel healthy, you feel good about what you're doing, keep going. And that's the way we've approached it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy what I do. I think, I'm just like a player. You have a role.
Yeah.
And you accept that role, and you go with it, and that's what makes coaching enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk with Gene Pingatore one-on-one after a short pause. I want to thank Joffrey Brown and Bill Riley for being with us on the program today, And Gene, you don't mind if I talk to you one-on-one for a few minutes, do you?
No question. That'd be fine.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Bill, and thanks, Joffrey. Okay, now we're back with Gene Pingatore, one-on-one. My old buddy, I've known you since what, the early... We've known each other for a long time. And I've got to say, I've admired your coaching career and your life in general. The thing I like best about you is your reputation in the Chicago area and nationwide as far as being able to get along with everybody and being the best coach there ever was. And I know your students feel the same way, and your former students.
I'm not sure of that. I'm sure there are many detractors out there too. So.
Well, with a record like this, we're doing this during the summer of 2015, and of course the St. Joseph High School boys basketball team are the 3A state champs. And with a record, a one-loss record of Gene Pingatore's of 962 wins against only 333 losses over 46 years, going into year 47. There's never been anything like it. This is the winningest high school basketball coach in the history of the state of Illinois. I don't know if they keep records on the country. Do you happen to know that?
They do. I'm sure they do.
This has got to be near the top somewhere.
I don't think so.
I mean, think so?
I know of a number of coaches that are over 1,000. Dorothy Gators in girls basketball in the state of Illinois.
Well, we're talking boys basketball now.
Yeah,
girls is a little different animal.
But there are a number, that are over 1,000, and it takes longevity for one thing.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to do that. Bottom line is, how many kids have gone on to college at the Division II and Division III level? Those are the kids that we take pride in trying to place. The fact that when kids leave us, we want to make sure they're all going to college, whether they play or not. And we really work hard at doing that kind of thing.
Excellent. Oh, I just have to mention some of the players off your state championship team this year. Glenn Watson's going to Nebraska. Jordan Ash, Northwestern. Right. He's got to have a pretty good grade point average, I mean, to do that at either of those schools. And, of course, Nick Kosovich, the 6'10" center, he's going to be a senior this year, but he's probably going to have 29 colleges watching him all season.
He'll have quite a few, quite a few.
And then
offers.
Joffrey Brown, who's graduating this year, he's going to have his choice of several colleges.
Right.
But this is like a normal thing for you and your teams.
Like I said, I think that's my responsibility. This is not a put down of coaches who don't do it. It's just their philosophy. I think that when kids come in and play and they do all the right things and so forth, get their grades, are good citizens and so forth, I think it's my obligation as a coach to make sure they go on to college. Everyone's not going to be a blue chipper. Everyone that is not going Division I, but everyone can go somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do. And I get a greater kick out of that, placing them and seeing them do well in college and after college, than the wins and losses.
Yeah. Well, the players that come to St. Joseph, they must be clamoring out in the in the city of Chicago and in the suburbs to come to St. Joseph because of your reputation and the success of all of your teams.
I would hope to think so, but that's not. It really isn't the case. Everyone can't play for us. We lose kids because they don't want to come here because they know I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to restrict them on what they can do up to a point. I had a parent one time sit down with me who was considering sending her son here. She said the reputation you have is you don't let your point guard shoot. And I said, if he can shoot, he'll shoot. If he can't shoot, he won't shoot. And it's as simple as that.
That makes sense. It's very logical. I'm surprised that, some parents are really into it like that. I guess the parents are out there trying to push their kids where they think they're going to do the most good as far as colleges and beyond college.
Parents are very involved now. People often ask me, are kids different today compared to 20 years ago and 30 years ago? And I said, no, kids are the same. Parents are different.
Yeah.
They're totally involved and they have great expectations. I think they put too much pressure on the kids. Everybody's going to go to the NBA. Everyone's a Division I player. It's not like that, They have to get their priorities straight. It should all be about education. If you can go to college and go to a good school, get a good education, play, and get a scholarship, what's the difference if it's Division I, II, or NAIA?
Fantastic.
What's the difference?
Great attitude. Years ago, you probably had to go out and do some really good scouting work. Now you probably don't have to. You probably have people coming to you. Is that how it works?
Well, that's part of the longevity of being here, And when I first started the program, I had to go out and beat the bushes and look for kids and talk them into coming to St. Joe's. But over the years, I've developed relationships with grade school coaches and people that I know in the area that if they get a good kid, they'll call me and say, I have a kid for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what happens. Yeah, I don't get out as much as I used to. We don't need to.
Yeah. Well, 46 years, going on year 47. I have to ask you one more time, do you have any objective in your mind, or do you go on a year-by-year basis to see what kind of team and what kind of boys you're getting? What's your feeling on that?
If you're asking me, am I thinking into the future, when am I going to give it up? But it's like a year-to-year thing. I'm anxious right now to get started with next year's team. And I know how it's going to happen. I'm going to come in one day and just say, I'm done. I'm not planning it. I'm not saying I got one more year or 2 years. I'm going to end up coming to practice or coming to a game and say, I'm finished, and I'm going to walk away.
Well, you probably want to win at least 1 or 2 or 3 more state titles.
Right. It would be nice if we can make another run.
Well, Gene, I got to tell you, you look like you're in great shape. Your health is good. You're feeling good for the most part. We all have our
mentally
aches
or
and pains.
physically, Jim?
Well, both. No, I know the mental part of it is very important. You and I go through we're similar in age, and we go through these things, and some days you wake up and think, I don't know if it's worth all this trouble, and other days you can hardly wait to get going, right?
I never one time woke up over 55 years.
You were head coach. You've been head coach going
46,
into the 47th
but I was here 9 years prior.
Right.
So there was not one day that I ever woke up in the morning and said, I don't feel like going into work.
That's fantastic.
Not one time.
That is
so,
fantastic.
what a great thrill that is when you think about having a job where...
Yeah. How many people in the world can say something like that?
It's unbelievable.
Less than 1%. Well, we're not going to take a lot more of Gene Pingatore's time. I really appreciate your sitting down and having this one-on-one with us, and I appreciate your bringing your coach with and your player. I just have to congratulate you one more time for not only for the outstanding accomplishment of becoming the state champs in Class 3A, not only for being the winningest high school boys basketball coach in Illinois, but being a great guy and
Jim,
a real
thank you.
human
Pleasure
being.
really is all mine. I always enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Gene. This is a beautiful photo of Gene Pingatore that all of the thousands and thousands of people who came to his wake and funeral were able to get as a memento of Gene. And to close our program today, I want to read something to you that's on the back of that card that everybody that came to Gene Pingatore's wake and funeral will have forever in their scrapbook. This is something that Gene apparently wrote. We don't know how long before he passed away, but he wrote this. And I think it would be nice for us to close the show with me reading to you what Gene Pingatore wrote. These are his words. After the cheers have died down and the stadium is empty, the headlines are all written, and you're back in the quiet of your room with the championship rings placed neatly on the dresser. Embrace the dedication, the effort, and failures along the journey to the top. Remember the climb together as a team, as a family, as my friends. Help others along the way as I may have helped you. I will see you all again someday at the top. Love, Coach Ping. Thank you for watching our tribute show to the legendary Gene Pingatore.